I am most grateful for life because I'm blessed to be able to, for feelings, for seeing, for hearing, and tasting all of the good things that God provide for life. And for me, life is a journey, and it's something that I should always be pleased that God has allowed me to take. I don't take life for granted. I look at life each day as a blessing, and I look at every tomorrow as a gift. And both of these are very precious to me.
I'm grateful for God giving me the opportunity and the knowledge to pursue a career that I love and still enjoy.
I'm most grateful for my mom, who will be 91 years old in a few months. She has been my biggest supporter in everything I do or attempt to do. No, it's not in her vocabulary. And she just instilled right and wrong, a sense of justice and fairness. So I give her all the credit.
I think I was at Howard High School, and I always wanted to be one or two things. I wanted to be a test pilot or a pharmacist. My daddy said no to the test pilot, so pharmacist is what I chose.
I had previously planned all of my life. I wanted to be a physician, I wanted to be a neurosurgeon, and that's what I was aiming towards. And I came to Chattanooga with my husband, who was working for TVA. And upon working there, I was not employed, so I would go with him every day to work and stay in the lobby or the lounge and wait for him to summon me when he had a break or when lunchtime. And there was a gentleman that worked with him whom I started talking to, and he asked one day, knowing that I was not working, what I had majored in school. And I told him, and he said that the school system here was looking for pure science and math teachers, and asked me if I would be willing to do that for 2 to 3 weeks. He had a friend who was in human resources in education department here, and he would talk to her. And I told him, I consented. I said, yeah, I'll do that for 2 or 3 weeks, and I thought, and I could go ahead and pursue my goal of being a physician, going to medical school. In the meantime, after doing that, there were 3 schools that were offered. That was Hickson High School, Brainerd High School, and Howard High School. And one friend that I had met here mentioned to me, said, do Howard, you would enjoy that, and that would be more of you. And I did, and I'm so grateful to the good Lord that I did so, because 2 to 3 weeks passed, and then it was Thanksgiving. I was still there. I had not thought about I was supposed to have been gone. I had formed in a bond and an attachment with the people I worked with, and especially the students that I was involved with. So my life changed from medicine to education, and I have not regretted not one moment of it.
It was a while in my career. I actually went to school thinking I was going to teach or maybe be a social worker. And then I decided that I needed to be able to do two things in life. So I met this lady from Chicago who asked me, have you ever considered working with the federal government? And at that time, I was like, no. So when the opportunity came to be interviewed, I thought, well, this could be my second opportunity for employment. I have a teacher certificate. Wasn't really sure I wanted to do that. So I said, I'll try working with the federal government. And the job came open with the Social Security Administration as a customer service. And I thought, well, let me do that. Let me try that. If it doesn't work out in a year, I'll go into teaching. And I never looked back. But I realized that I was in the right profession when I received so many accolades from the claimant that I was able to help them achieve what they were entitled to help them prove their age or whatever. So even though there was a lot of work, it was hard work, it was very gratifying work. And I realized then I was very fortunate to get in a career that I really enjoyed.
In life, obstacles, I handle them with prayer, much prayer, and communication.
Initially, I had a mentor, and I would encourage that for everybody to have a mentor. Uh, in whatever you do, whatever organization you're working for. And that person you can bounce things off of. They can tell you when you're right, when you're wrong. Um, so that was my first course. But as I matured, I realized the best thing is to pray. Prayer is the best thing. Think about it before you say, I'm going to do this or I will do that. Then just go to God and ask, is this what I should do?
Sometimes it takes overcoming obstacles in order to you to see the new path of what God has in store for you. Many times we go through things to get to something better, and I always look at it in that direction, regardless of how fierce or how bad things might seem. Maybe at the end, God already has something in store for me that is better than the obstacles that I've been confronted with. Where when things come in my way, any sort of a challenge, my first avenue is to pray. I pray, and then there is more prayer. And I try not to allow my emotions to get the best of me when there are obstacles, because in doing so, I cannot focus. I'm not able to think clearly. So I just neglect, the emotional side of it. I try to focus, and I try to look at a direction that I should be taking. And then after I've done that, I try to go back and revisit, is there anything that I've done in the past along this same line that has been a hindrance to me? And in so doing, I look at maybe some things that I should omit trying or should omit doing, and just rely on what is there before me, what I know, and evaluate my situation based on that.
I thought of some role model, and many people would probably say that Maya Angelou, uh, also Oprah Winfrey. And I thought, well, why did you pick them? Um, the obstacle they overcome. They all had a difficult childhood. They had challenges, but they didn't let that stop them. They went on and achieved great success. And of course, you think of the women of the civil rights movement and what they went through and how they persevered. I also think of the women who were involved in the slave movement, abolishing slave, Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman. And last year, I think the picture came out, Hidden Figures. Well, I didn't know about those three ladies. And if I had known about them when I was in school, they would have been my role model. I mean, they really had the education, had the degrees, but were denied the right to practice that. They started out being clericals and all of that, but they persevered. They didn't give up. Whatever the man threw at them, they overcame it. But it's so many. And I know with the younger generation, they could think of the people, not only in entertainment, with movies or your sports figures, but you have people behind the camera and so forth. So um, we are very fortunate.
I think my mother was very influential. She was a praying woman. She loved the Lord. She was full of wisdom. She really knew how to read people. So I really appreciated that about her. And she instilled values in me, godly values. Another one was my sister Carolyn Jones. I always wanted to be like her. She was my idol, and she was intelligent. She was a businesswoman. She just had it going on. And I think my daughter, Lorraine, gives me encouragement and influences me now because she's talented. She's a very get up and go person. She runs her own business, and she's a very good mother.
I've had several women that have been great influences for me, but two I would like to particularly sort out, and that is my mother and my daughter. My mother is now deceased, but my mother was a strong woman of faith who depended on God's word for her leading and for her guiding us. There were 9 of us, and there are 8 that are still remaining. And I think all of us, we talk almost daily. We always talk about our mom and what she did to influence our life. And she was, like I said, she was a very strong woman. She taught me values. She taught respect, love, kindness, And above all, she taught the face of giving. She was a person who gave. My mother was performing what I call medical tasks, and she had not had any training. We would have people, there were two ladies in our neighborhood who, one was on not dialysis at the time, but she was diabetic, and this was in the 60s. But my mom would give her shot. She could not make it to the doctor for her meds and for her shot. My mom would take over that. And she was in the community always supplying food and giving food to different ones who were not able to cook or who could not afford that. So that has been instilled in me from my mom, the kind of service that she rendered not just to her family but others outside of the family. And my daughter, Jamaica, she is an encourager. She's one of my biggest supporters and encouragers. But she's very honest with everything that she tells me. It's not, she tells me something to appease me. She tells me things that will help me. And an example of that would be after my husband passed, I had to take over trying to get income tax and those kinds of things taken care of. And I was telling Mika one day, I said, it's a shame, you know, you have to pay money all year long. You've given out money, you still have to pay money at the end. And she very nonchalantly but sincerely said to me, she said, Mama, you should be very happy that God has given you the means to repay or to pay what you have to pay with income tax. And I thought about that for a long time, and she does that a lot with different things that we talk about. And I thought about that a lot. Yeah, you must be grateful for all things, even though it might seem hard and you don't want to do it, but you have to be grateful.
Working through my career, and I would have to say it was very successful, not bragging, but based on the documentation, the awards, the accolades I received. And during my career, I received two of the highest honor that the Social Security Administration could give. And that was a commissioner citation, where you get to go to Baltimore and meet the commissioner and so forth. So that was very high honors, and I do appreciate that. But when I look back over my career, I have to think about the men and women that I was able to not only hire, promote, give awards to, give them a career in the federal sector. Because at one time, I may have been the only minority in a situation or in a particular district. But one of my goals was not only to promote the right person, but to also give minority an opportunity to prove themselves and go for a higher position. So there are several people in the state of Tennessee who are managers who, when I first met them, they may have been a customer service representative or a claims representative, but because of their hard work and my willingness to give them a chance, then they were able to move up to the supervisory rank, assistant manager, and manager. So when I look back at it, that is a great achievement.
Probably being the best I can be, whether it's a daughter, a wife, a mother, a friend, or an employee, or employer, or a volunteer. Just doing the best that I can be in any endeavor that I choose to go into. And then I expect that from the people that I'm around.
Well, my husband, such as myself, he was not an educator, but he did believe in education, and he believed in encouraging children especially to go to school and to do something with their lives. When he left, I tried to think of something that would be honoring, that would honor him, his memory. And what I decided to do, I've set up a computer lab at our church. It's called the Computer J. Lewis G. Computer Resource Room, where there would be students and or adults who would go in. They could complete their homework or do research or whatever they choose to do, because I found that lots of homes did not have Wi-Fi where they could connect to the internet. So they needed a means of doing so. So we have that computer lab set up at the church. We have 12 computers and printers in the computer lab where adults and children can go in at their will and take care of assignments or anything else that they would like to do in that lab. The second thing that I chose to do in memory of my husband is to set up a scholarship fund, and that scholarship is given each year to a high school senior graduating, going to either a 2-year or a 4-year college, they would get that scholarship, which is called the J. Lewis G. Scholarship. So the computer lab and the scholarship that I give each year, I think it's a great memory, a great honor to my husband, and it also pleases me as well because I know that others are being helped.
For the younger women coming behind me, to plan, to dream, to pursue their dreams, and don't let anything stop them. Just forge forward and remember to pray your way through.
Don't give up when someone says no. If you know this is what you want to do, then find another way to do it. I always tell my nieces and nephews, make yourself valuable. Make yourself valuable to the job. Learn to do everything about that job, even if it's not in your job description. See, I hear so much today, people say, well, I didn't get paid to do that. That's not in my job description. But my thing is, you are learning. And when it comes to time to lay off or riff, they're going to look at you. This girl is so valuable. She knows how to do this and this. We need to keep her. Let Susie Q go. She can only do one thing. So by making yourself valuable, and even when I was in the lower position, I was curious. I wanted to know what was in those manuals. What administrative procedure are you doing? And I was reading ahead of the job so that I could do the job. So my thing would be to tell young people, don't give up. Pursue your education. You have plenty of time. Young people will date, I don't have the time. I don't want to spend 2 more years in school and all of that. But it is well worth it, you know. You can't get a higher paying job with little or no experience.
One of the things that I would tell younger women as they advance in life is to set goals and revisit your goals periodically to see where you are. Don't just set them and leave them alone. But as you achieve different goals, then you cross it off. You know, set goals, set objectives for achieving your goals. This way you will have some idea as to where you are. Are you stagnant or are you moving forward? Because many times we think we are moving forward because we are busy all the time doing something, but that is not necessarily the case. That is not necessarily true. And then secondly, you need to believe that you can succeed. Don't ever let anyone tell you that you can't, that you are nothing, that you are nobody, and you have nothing going for yourself. Because many times, because a person has come from a certain place in life, you know, they get very discouraged because of discouraging remarks that might come from others. But I tell them, always believe in yourself. Believe you can do it. Push forward in whatever it is that you are doing or whatever it is you're trying to do. And thirdly is to realize that disappointments and failures are going to come your way. But these might be the stepping stones to success for you. So you can't go down or decide that, you know, this is it, throw in the towel because you are disappointed, because you are failing. But look at that as the stepping stone to success. Always, and this is something that I like to practice myself, always express and practice humility and restraint. Those are 2 things that you want to do. Don't say something today that you're going to regret tomorrow, because words you cannot take back.